Wonderful. Right then. I'm back again doing some programming, and I'm gonna try and finish off this as best I can. There's only a couple more sections of it that I need to figure out, and then it should be good to go. I should be able to put it straight onto my server. So last time we got a couple of commands working. We had some core functionality for adding guilds, and checking players, whether or not they're in certain guilds, and updating the config file and all that kind of stuff. And I believe, if I'm right, the this populate guilds code should probably work. With that in mind, we're going to carry on working on the on the other commands. Basically, there's only a couple left. The more somewhat elaborate one's going to be the land claim command, and this is where we're going to start looking into utilizing an event listener to pick up when players interact and break blocks, so we can prevent players who aren't in your guild, providing that the blocks are contained within the guild's land, to stop them from being able to destroy stuff that you own, basically, which is the main purpose of this. And I got that again, got all that working before. It's relatively trivial. If I find it in here, my previous attempt, listeners, player listener. So all you do is you, on the player interact event, you check when they right click a block. You get the block that they've interacted with. You get the chunk that they're that the block's contained within. You get the player, and you check whether or not that team. You get the team that owns that chunk, and then you check whether or not the player is also in that team. I think I've done this a bit backwards though. I'm pretty sure all I would need to do is check if they're in a guild or not, and then check if any guilds actually own that chunk. Or I don't know, same premise, different, and then the exact same concept with breaking blocks and placing blocks. And then I also added some helpful commands that allow you to that would write a message to the player when they're entering or leaving land owned by a guild, so you didn't need to think too much about it, really. You could walk around and go, hey, you've just entered somebody's land. But if you missed that for some reason, then, or you didn't care, all of these other things would obviously stop you from doing anything about it. Now, it's been a while since I've done all this kind of stuff, but if I remember correctly, here, you just register. You literally just register the player listener, or you make a subclass of listener, and then register it, and then the compiler checks the event handlers, and it will, whenever these types of events occur, will basically pass them on to you. So I made a custom team chat as well, which is pretty cool. That was quite fun. So then, like in the MMOs, it would come across as like green text or something. It was a pretty simple solution, but it made it look pretty good. So yeah. Now I would be I would assume that all this works a bit differently. So there's probably, I know there's a whole section on listeners and stuff in here still. Blah blah blah. So on command. Wait, didn't I? Oh, there we go. Method. Yeah, it looks. Yeah, just at event handler, the name of the event, the method. Yeah, you can change priorities so you can intercept events at different times compared to other mods, to allow you to essentially override potentially other mods and stuff. That's somewhat important, but yeah. And it looks like it's exactly the same as it used to be, so I should be able to use the same concepts. So right, anyway, let's go on with it. So to start with, we need to give the players the ability to claim and unclaim land. So if we come into here, all we're going to do is a few things here. So if I just get an example from the create guild, so let's see, we probably want this. Yeah, so we want to you'd assume they are in a guild, but yeah, so you want to get the plugin, get the player guild, and if they're in a guild, so we want to, probably best to do this as local variable called player guild. There we go. Okay, so they're not going to be able to do this command if they're not in a guild, because obviously they're claiming it for the guild. So we have this guild land class which we need to start populating. However, all it's going to realistically contain is a private is a chunk, which is this. There we go. Just gonna do the basics. Go and say right, does it need anything else? No, it's pretty much just that. So what am I doing? Okay, basic constructor. Probably one chunk. Chunk, and then we just want to set the chunk to be that. Okay, so we've got just that, really primitive, but eventually we might want to do something a bit more fancy with it. Then in here, so I'm pretty sure, oh, wrong thing, guild. Yeah, so we've got guild land, and we want to be able to load and save chunks at some point, but for now that will do. So all we have to do in theory in here, right, so we need a method that lets you search, iterate over all of the chunks in all of the guilds to see if it's already claimed. So first we need the actual chunk, so we want to go, we need access to the player. Let's call P equals that. The player in this case is the sender. Sender has the player interface on it, so we can access all of that. There we go. So now we've got the player, so we want to get the chunk, so and this is going to be p.get location get chunk, simple as that. Perfect. So now we've got the chunk that the player is physically standing on, and then we need to go something around the lines of get plugin is chunk owned. See, so this method doesn't exist, so just gonna let Java do its magic. There we go. Whole point of using all this, not Java, sorry, Eclipse. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's because it's in Java, it can do things like that pretty straightforward, in a pretty straightforward way. And then we go for guild G in guilds. We want sorry, return false. And if g dot owns chunk c, turn true. This is another method we need to make. So in here now we're just going to iterate over every single guild land. GL in yeah, it's just guild land. Pretty straightforward. And then we just go exactly same promise as the previous method. If GL dot get chunk equals C. Perfect. And that should go all the way out to here. Oh, why is it a? Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Should have been a boolean. There we go. Perfect. Right. So we're looping through all the guilds. Oh, it's a boolean. So it's to C++. So we iterate over all of the guilds. Check if any of them own that chunk, and then back in the claim land, we want to do if chunk. If not chunk owned, then we add it to it. So then we go player guild dot claim chunk C, which again is going to be new methods. This makes it a bit easier to understand from the context of this class, basically, but. Guild land add. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it like that. Because it's claiming the chunk, and the command doesn't need to know how it claims it. It just needs to tell it that somebody's claimed it for you. Okay, so now we've got the premise of that sorted. We can also do unclaim, which will use essentially the same stuff. So we want to go to back into our claim land thing here, and we probably want this, all of this code here. In fact, right down to this, because it's doing the inverse. And here we want to, I think that should be enough. If the chunk is claimed, we just simply, so now we're getting the player guild again. There's no point doing it if they're not in the guild. And we get the chunk they're on, and now we want to check that it is owned, and but we want to check specifically in this case if the guild owns it. So player guild dot owns chunk C, then whoops, unclaimed chunk C. Yeah, it's literally pretty much exactly the same premise. You just go into here, create method in here, and then we steal this because we're looping over all of the guild land. Hang on, I'm gonna see. There we go. And we also need to start doing some config manipulation in here, possibly, or in the overall command, which might be better. Yeah, I think it's probably better to do it in the command. Probably, and let me put some background music on as well. That was kind of loud. Hang on. Using this. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It's fairly backgroundy. Let's just go to the next thing. Right, sorry. Right, so our main plan is do something with the config files of this. So ideally you'd want to save it as and when it's the command's performed. Probably worth having an update chunks method. It's one of the issues of removing things gets a bit iffy sometimes. It should be okay though. Anyway, so unclaimed chunks. So we're going to do guildland dot remove object C gl break. Okay, so before we do this, we need to, so either of these, we need to clean up the config for it. Right. So let's go into the clean command. So probably best. So we go get plugin claim, whoops, close. Claim chunk. We want the player guild. Okay, so in here we want to do something around the lines of this. Oh. String path guilds. Just call it G. Okay, so that's going to be land. And then we're going to want to get rid of that, I think. And then we want to set path. Yeah, okay. It's pretty straightforward still. We want to do a reload config, I think, and then a save config. And this is just going to do c.getLoad How did I save it in my previous one? Chunks. Oh, that's interesting. I saved them as a list. Intriguing. What's the string like? XYZ, integer value of templication. Intriguing. Location to string. Okay, oh, hang on.
This is a reminder.
Yeah. Oh, can you still? Looks like the mic can still. That's interesting. Oh.
This is a reminder.
Yeah, I'm. Okay, there we go. Interesting. Looks like the mic still partially works. I turn off the extra 48 volts that it needs. Anywho, so it looks like I was storing the location of the chunks previously. See if I can. Alright. My throat's really dry at the moment. Tino's chunk. See. Location chunk. Yeah. Okay, what happens here? Trying to find how I stored it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So I was breaking it out, getting the 000 block of that chunk, which would probably be, I think in this case it's always the bottom, like right hand or left hand corner or something. Oh yeah, and I had a chunk limit and like, yeah, time when you couldn't claim chunks very rapidly or in quick succession. Anywho, okay, so that's pretty straightforward. And then I had a method for location, string to location, and location to string. So I'm just going to steal this because it's really useful. Right, so now we've got this concept of getting a location from a string and saving a location to string. Yeah, so our location. So what we can do is then our claim chunk here. Okay, so we need to sort this out a bit better, but generally speaking we're going to want to go, it's basically going to be something like get block 0, oh come on, 0 dot get location, do this, do string block equals location to string, this, that, and then this is just going to put the location in for now. Simple as that. and then all we need to do is land unclaimed. It should work like this, I think. So we would just do plugin dot unclaim land c whoops guild blah blah blah. Create methods. So we want to do it before it's interacted with, I suppose. Does it really matter? No, we know the chunk. So then we do the same concept here, where we get the location string, the guild, and the config. I probably just want all of this. But instead of the set path, that's quite a nice baseline. Dot remove. What would it be? Is it not remove? Oh, come on. Create section get is notify load wait set. Do you set to null? Yeah, okay, you set to null. Okay, so in this case it's gonna be set, yeah, so we want to do set path plus, pretty sure it's a dot, and then location, and then oh, so in theory we've now got every time you claim land it gets saved as a we've done it as a XYZ spaced out with commas, so we'll get something around the lines of guild name, land, and then underneath just a list of X, Y, and Z paths. However, it might not quite work like that, and there's possibly a reason I've done it differently in my other application. We shall see, because I might as well run this and see what happens, because I probably ought to put the info things in just to make sure that it's hitting the commands and stuff. So we've got claim land. So I did go through the other day and do the more generic stuff and make all the other commands, and then just do their basics command text, and in here added all of the commands, so hopefully it's all there in the list. And if I go to the plugin, so I want to test claim land, and then it's just that. Great guild. So wait, come on. Claim land, unclaim land. Simple as that. Hopefully. So we've got it set up here. So I need to do info stuff. Sorry. To try and just to guarantee that this is all working, and we need to do this as well. So we want to do get configuration blah dot guild name dot land, and then guild new yeah, new guild land, and then it's going to be string to location, which will be land is that get how do we get the world? Let me just go back into here. Get server, get world name. Ah, interesting. Ah, yeah, because the locations are specific to the world that they're in. This is interesting. That there implies that teams are only created in a specific world. So if we were to leave the world, we wouldn't be able to. What am I going for? Yeah, if we were to leave the world, we wouldn't be able to use a lot of the methods and stuff. You'd have to create a new team. Okay, so this is another layer of stuff, so that shouldn't be too far-fetched, because when we do add guild to config, we can literally do the same premises here, which would be okay, hang on. So we need this, right? So whenever you add the guild to the config, I want to put in so I think this is actually like the file name for the world or something. How am I doing this then? Let's see where this is used. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay, it's probably done inside team then. Get chunk world. Yeah, alright, fair enough. And we don't have chunks when we create this to start with. So I think we're going to need to make it when you create a guild that it also gets the claims the land as well. Alright, I mean that's fair enough. Let's see. So what we want to do here, close this. We don't need to start going into this yet. Okay, so yeah, let's make them claim the land as well. Because would it be straightforward as this? Faking this command, or do I? No, let's. So the functionality is going to be player. So we want this. Let's just shorthand that. Makes it easy to read. Want to get the chunk, and then we basically want to do that as an and inside. Oh, this is awkward because generally speaking, probably don't want to do it quite like this, because this needs to be able to be done separately. Do I put this code inside the guild perhaps? Oh no, I don't want to duplicate code basically. Actually, I'm going to have to, because I can't put this outside of the context of the code in here anyway. Fuck it, whatever. Okay, in that case, so I'm literally just gonna do and land not owned, land claim this. Shove this at the bottom. It's going to be guild there. So that's going to claim the chunk. So every time so now whenever you create that a guild, you immediately claim the chunk of land that you're on. Now we have the ability to, in the guilds, so we go into here and we go where are we? G.get land get 0. Sorry, a lot of dots here. Get world. W is that? W dot get name. Okay, so this is when we're adding it to the config. So we would, it would be equivalent of this. I'm not sure whether we need that dot. That seems a little excessive. World path. And we actually just need that. Okay, right, now we need this. Okay, so the guild name's got a world that it belongs to. Hang on a sec. Alright, I'm just going to put this in here. Wonderful. Okay, so and we're doing all of this so that when we populate here, we can get the world from the config. So in this case, because we need string to location needs the world, right? So yeah, okay. So it'd be pretty straightforward. Get string guilds dot plus s. Let's rename that to G plus guild plus world and then it should be W in here, I think. And then so now we've got access to the world, and then we do dot get chunk. We're done. Oh, and this is going to be add land, which is a new method, which very simply this. GL add. Okay, this does mean we're going to need to go back and recreate the config from scratch, so I'll probably have to go onto the server and delete that. So I might as well do that now. What am I doing? It's not my actual server. Let me clear some stuff in here. So where did I put it? So I'm just perusing my files again. Minecraft server plugins. Let me just put this up here. Plugins config. There we go. So I need to delete this because we're kind of redone how the config looks. And then I'm going to put in some output messages. I'm pretty sure it's just this kind of stuff. Right, so we just need to guarantee that it's getting as far as this, and if it's not, then we can go and look back for it, but in some case it can be. So get config, right, land claimed, unclaimed is a bit of a weird thing that I don't know, probably just call it removed or something really, but whatever. We also don't want them to remove all of the guild's land, because then it wouldn't function properly, I think. So let's just put in a quick player guilds dot get guild land size greater than 1. So you can't remove land if you've only got 1 left, basically. Yeah. there might be a reason to allow people to do this, but I'd imagine it might cause some complications. And then we probably ought to do some more info stuff in here. So what we're doing, so we're going from guild name, land, getting the keys, then we're getting the world, and then we're getting the keys from this are going to be the chunk long XYZ, converting that to a location, getting the chunk, and then creating the land and adding it to the guild, which is fine. And in fact I could do oh wait, I don't need to do that at all. Let me do, so every time it finds land it adds that into the list, but we don't need this anymore. Simple as that. Add guild to config, so we get the world, we add the world to it, we get that, and we still need to add the chunk. Yeah. Okay, so when we do claim land, yeah, so we want claim the equivalent of claim chunk here, don't we? So this is, so it saves it to the config for the first time. We probably want that. That's just going to be G, and we want to get the first one from the list. Oh, good grief. Okay, there we go. That's pretty much it, hopefully. No errors. I've got code in place of everywhere-ish. Let's see what happens, because we know everything else works. So we'll only have to look at the new bits for the moment. Right, so now we're going to do the whole usual server monarchy. So I go into, I get probably need 2 instances of the File Explorer. It's going to get a little ridiculous otherwise. Guilds, target, so we want this. Shove this over here. Go into the server, plugins, override that, and fire up the server. So it won't complain initially, because I added in, I've just, you know, it's the code works, as in it's not, you know, getting me compile errors and stuff in Eclipse, so it should be fine on that front. Yeah, so it's just going to be fine. Now I need to fire up Minecraft, and I'm probably going to close Discord because there's just so much shit on the screen. Oh yeah, I added in a shader and stuff as well, make it look pretty. Not that it really matters. So hopefully this will either work immediately without a problem, or it will complain at me in probably one line where I've forgotten to change something. But conceptually, you've made it so whenever you create a new guild, you automatically claim the land that you're standing on. You can unclaim land, but only if you've got more than one, and it should save the land and the world, more importantly, to the config, not the config. Yes, to the config. What am I on about? Something like that. Oh my god. Wow, it does actually look quite pretty. I've only been in my cave environment with this shaders plugin before now, so we want to create a guild and call it test. An internal error happened. Wonderful. Right, what's gone wrong? Index out of bounds. Yeah, fair enough. Add guild to config 73. So what you do here is you look to where the first instance of your own code occurs, which is where the problem actually happened, which is 73. And before we even look at this, I've probably forgotten to do the actually adding the guild land to the guild. So we're on 73, and it's probably this, because we haven't actually physically added it to the guild yet. So I'm going to stop the server because that's blatantly obvious what the problem is. So when I do create guild, what are we doing? Get plugin. Yep, wrong order. So what was happening there was I was doing the add to config before the chunks had been added to the guild. So this should always be the last thing that it does. In fact, it should probably be all the way at the bottom here, because this is where it's added to the object, and then this is where it's added to the config file. Two completely different things, and the config file is dependent on the data in the object. So simple as that. I mean, it tried, so you know, it didn't not work as such. It just didn't have the data it needed. So we replace this, go back here, fire up the server, and try again. Whilst we're waiting for the server, which oh come on, go on the other screen. Have a look around here. This is on the Discord server I'm on for another game. Oh my, for another group. Oh dear God. Something's gone horribly wrong there. Wow. It's probably because I'm running a server locally, which is probably fucking with it. So yeah. There we go. Oh, I wonder. I'm just going to check the server config again, because it may have, no, it didn't get around to adding it. Fantastic. Sometimes it still manages to get some through, so. Oh, okay, so that means it's gone through with no errors, doesn't mean it's worked. So if we go back into here, wrong, I closed, of course, so I bloody closed this. What are we looking for? Minecraft, guild, no. Server, plugins, guilds, config. Right, let's see what we got. Interesting. Oh yes, I see the problem with the land saving. Because let me say what's going to happen. So if I go to a different chunk, which should be at least over here somewhere. So before I had to do it in a string that was separated by at C basically, so I could so they could be stored in one line. Because what's really difficult to do, and I've done this with the players section as well, which is something I need to consider, because this is a hierarchical tree structure. If I were to set the land property again, it would override this, because it's it would just change that, because it's the same path. It's still doing guilds, test, land, this. So that's the reason you do this as a list, and ideally it would look like something like this, and then you would have at C, and then some numbers and numbers and number, right? and then you'd split on the string. So just as a proof of concept, that number is probably going to change if I do also a test of claim land. I keep forgetting I didn't put any output for it, so I don't know whether it happened or not, and it's different. So what I've just gone and done is overridden the previous land for the guild, so I need to implement storing collect arrays of data, and because it's comma separated, I of course can't easily use commas to represent it, but using something that's very visually sort of easy to visualize in the config, like @c, makes it very good way of maintaining the configs and stuff, because it's not very convoluted. Basically, it's easy to see an @c in a list of numbers. Wow, this looks so pretty. Jeez, I don't even have do I have a mod pack on as well? I think I do. Oh, little low poly horse next to some high poly grass. Jeez, I've never played with a shader on this game before, and dear God, does it look gorgeous. Oof. Anyway, I'll stop ogling at that. Alright, I probably shouldn't have closed that entirely, but whatever. So I'm going to go into here, do stop in the server, so it closes down properly for a change and I don't just quit out. So in order to rectify this, do this. Right. So we need a new system just for the config side to save this, because we've been clever and done it all in one section, the saving of the chunks and then the loading of them shouldn't be too far-fetched. So all we have to do we get the path, and we've got our location to string. What we need to do is get the existing string, because we're just adding. It's pretty straightforward. So we get config get string. We get it path because it's a singular string, and then the location will just be added, and I think string, yeah, it needs to be generic. So what we want to do is the location strings there, so string let's call it path value. I'm very tired at the moment. So equals the original string plus @c, let's do it lowercase, actually it's probably easy to see uppercase, plus location. So what this would look like would be something around the lines of land @c, that, and then @c, something like this. So it would just be one long string, and you know, you could have like that if you wanted to. And then when you get the values, you split by @c, and then you have an array of these, basically that are comma separated, and then you just pass in those comma separated values back into the string to location, which I've already made get the first string, the second string, and the third string based on a split on a comma, and it just should just work. So if I get rid of a lot of those, leave that as an example, and then the path value. So that's pretty straightforward, that section. So now I need to do the equivalent for when we get them, because this is the only place we add it to the list, and this gets run when we perform the save guild claim chunk here. Yep, wonderful. So now the more complicated bit, because they've got this get keys thing, and I think I possibly need to learn how that works, but instead we're just going to do get string and then this is going to be dot split at C. So now what we've got is we're getting that line of pardon me, that string, which is just a long everlasting list of locations with an at C next to them. We're splitting it based on that. So now each of this land string will be 1 2 3 comma 1 2 comma 1 sort of thing. And then we get the world, then we do the generic string to location, which uses the comma separated values and then does its normal stuff. So we should be good to go now. And I will investigate this get keys and how to create like a list or something under them. I don't really, I think that's where I had problems in the past, and I never really got past it before. So is it not part of my runners list? No, okay, I don't know. I still need to create a method for doing this automatically. We want to go back to the target, put this, shove it in there. I need to fire up Minecraft again because I closed it for some godforsaken reason. Good grief, right. I'll fire this up. Let's see what we got. But it's looking good. It conceptually worked. It just didn't. It just looks like this. I probably ought to delete this as well. Possibly a bit late now, but I'll just make a new guild called pt2. We're looking good. Should be ready by the time this is loaded. Yep. Fantastic. Come on, you can do it. Oh, wow. It takes it a while, but my god. Definitely a more interesting way of playing Minecraft. This 2 has been created. Let's see what we've got. guilds test2 land null at c something something, and then intriguing. I wonder why it's doing that. So it's not only is it, so it's doing it twice. Interesting. Why would it do it twice? But there's good way to find bugs and stuff, all this sort of thing. Guild config. Is it because I'm doing it in the command? It's because I'm doing it in the command. So we don't need that one. So that will stop it doing it twice. And the first time it did it, it had issues. Let's find the claim chunk. So we were getting null here because it was adding the path which may not have existed. So what we need to do, we want a string called prev chunks, which is just the previous chunks, equals get config dot it's not does path exist, is configuration section. Contains path. Okay. So we want to do yeah, so if it exists, then we want to do this. So it won't exist the first time, otherwise this. So this is a, for anyone who doesn't know, this is a, I think it's standard in most programming languages, it's a shorthand if statement. So what this is saying is, if the Boolean outcome of this, do this part, otherwise do this part. So it's always the Boolean question mark, if it's true, colon false. Simple as that. So we've cleared up that, so that's fine. So I can get rid of this, I can get rid of the duplicate, right, because this doesn't hold on to the config, and then I can go somewhere off in this direction and then do /claimland, but it shouldn't have a problem because it's doing it in one instance. Oh, interesting. Okay, what's happened? Oh, interesting. So let's see what we've got. So invalid configuration, found character that cannot start any token. Okay, so tokens are the outcome of a path. In this case, because it's being done from claim chunk 201, which is probably this line or some possibly in reload config. So let's find out. Okay, so we should be able to run that again. So it didn't error that time. And if we go back into here, okay, so it did work this time. So it looks like you're not allowed to start with the @ symbol if the if it's the first instance of it. Okay, easy enough. So when we come into here, instead of putting this in here, what we do is we make it, so this is if it exists, this if it doesn't. So we want to put this line in here. So because we've already got code that checks whether the path already exists, so this is checking whether the .land part of the XML exists, we can guarantee that in this instance it's already assigned the location string and it's here, and from now on every time we do the claim, it should just add extra instances of this. Unfortunately, it buggered up the entire config file, so that's fun. So let's close and make sure this works from scratch again. It's all a bit trial and error, but well, once you get through all of this, it's really just a couple lines of code and you've got the ability to save and load stuff from a config, so it just sounds reasonable to me. One thing I'm not sure about Streamlabs OBS is whether or not I've got my I'll be back screen available, which I doubt. Yeah, I don't really use this at all, so maybe I should go back to the what I had before. In any case, I'm just going to pop to Lou, so I'll be back in a sec. Right, I'm back-ish. Thereabouts. So, we got this. I exported it, I think. Yep. Back to the target. Oh dear. Plugins. Run server. Now, realistically, if you were a bit more confident's not the right word. If you had a bit more of a shorter time scale or something, you'd probably write the entire mod pretty much without testing it, put in loads of debug code and test every aspect of it, because it's not all dependent on each other, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to delete this because it's a dud guild because it errored. Test. Cool, so no immediate errors. Go into here, reload. Perfect. So now we've got this wonderful location saved. So if I was to do /claim land, it shouldn't do anything. Yeah, it hasn't changed because we already own it. So if we go somewhere relatively far away, claim land, and we've got another one, which is a completely different location. And if we pop over here and do another one, land claimed, cool. Okay, so we claimed 3 pieces of land. Right, now we need to test whether or not that actually loads it. And I also need to change how the remove claimed land bit works, which will be relatively straightforward. Possibly. It'd probably be easier to rebuild the entirety of the config string for it, because even if you claim 100 blocks of land, this string can be modified, sort of read and produced in less than a second. So yeah, but yeah, so now we need to see whether it can load it. Right, so we close the server. It saved it the same, which is great, which means there are no issues with that. And we run the server again, and then we should look in here and it should say load guild something blah blah blah, and then load claim land, or just the string for it. You'll see in a second, hopefully. I'll just wait for it to stop adding text to this. There we go. If we go back up here, has it done it, or possibly not? I'm pretty sure I put some info stuff to come out into this. Yeah. It should have the info land, and then somewhere there's just going to be the word test. It doesn't look like it's done it. I don't know whether that means it hasn't worked or not, because the logger could also be disabled. This also could not work, so that's interesting. This could be the culprit for sure. Okay, whatever. Okay, so I don't even need to test unclaiming land yet because it's not going to work. Right. So where's unclaimed land? Here it is. Okay, so this needs to work very differently. Okay, actually I have a really elegant solution for this. So we're gonna get the full path. So it's gonna give us the land string, and then okay, so now we're going to get the location to string here. We're not going to do this, and we're replacing so if it's not the first, it's going to be at C plus the location empty. However, it could also potentially be the first, so then we remove just the location. So the point of doing this is, say you've got the example we've got here. Let's put this down here. So let's say if you've got this version and then you've also got this version. So in this version, if the land claim is 321 321, then we're going to remove, we're going to find at C plus that and remove it. So that would do this. But if we just did remove the location, we'd be left with this. And if we had multiple locations, it would be something like that. So you'd have a random at C left behind. So we want to remove that first, but then we also want to account for the possibility that it's the first one which doesn't have an at C at the start. So we just do to replace, because it's either going to be the first one or the second one. And that's the reasoning for doing it like that, and that should work. That should get the string. We replace the land string down, and then we do a set. And that should do the trick. And then we can add some info statements in here because it's useful to know when people perform commands. I don't know why I'm trying to look for an example. This is really basic. logger.info chunk claimed plus location. And here chunk unclaimed plus location. Simple as that. Okay, so we've probably fixed the loading from the config. So this might work the next time we do it. And now we should be able to unclaim land without disrupting anything. So let's go and do that real quick. I think this now has EDM and stuff on it. Let's give this a go. That'll be cool, right? This is more my sort of stuff anyway. Right, plugins, replace. Run server. So we should also now see some info statements appearing in here. And now I need to put some player feedback when you type in commands as well. Right, let's see. Yeah, I'm still not seeing the info statements at the start here, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so as that didn't possibly didn't load us into here, this might not work, but yeah, because we're not adding players when they join the server either, so test 2. This world players Belvin land test 2. Okay, let's head over here. That's not one. Okay, so it's added it, and then let's see if it removes it. Perfect. Wow, it's quite loud now. Wow. Okay, so we can claim and unclaim land successfully. I'm gonna wager this won't work. Yeah. And that probably. Okay, fair enough. It's hard to tell what chunk you're on, so yeah, fair enough. There's a way I can do some very clever stuff with faking player to the player client what blocks they're seeing, and what I can do is make a show chunks method, which I had before, and it would fake to the player's client that the outer perimeter of all of the chunks that their land encompassed were like wooden blocks. So, you know, you type it in and then bang, like you just see these massive cubes all across the world of all of the land that you've claimed, but nobody else would see it. And then you could just hide it, and then it would just go back to whatever it actually was. Okay, so what's not working? The loading of the guilds and stuff isn't working, so we want a event listener as well. So let's make a new package. This is quite nice. Right. Listener. Ooh. What type of listener? Probably this. Player listener. I go back to my player listener in here. All we want to do, player login. Yeah, simple as this. Commandeer this, and then we go back to the other player listener. Oh, did I close it? I closed it. So we closed team. We don't really care about guild anymore. Yeah, most of our problems so far have just been with the config and not the actual raw functionality. Take an equivalent of that, put it there, delete this, and this is going to be guilds. Okay. That shouldn't be called that. Get player guild. If pg not equal to null, pg dot add member, new guild member player. I don't know why I've got this actually. Hang on, let me. This should literally be player.get name. Keep it consistent, and then we don't have to do that all the time. player quit. Okay, we don't want to necessarily do add member. It doesn't do anything to the config. We want like a specific method for this, I think. Okay, so it's not going to be adding a new guild member, because if they're already in a guild, let me turn this down. I can't really concentrate at the moment. So if they're already in the guild guild's going to load, the config's going to have a guild member with a missing live instance of the player, which this player object equates to. So what we should actually be doing is creating a login method and doing this for guild member GM in guild members if GM dot hang on. Oh jeez. Dot equals player dot get name GM dot set player. Okay, so this way we load from the config and we get a list of player names and which are unique, and then but they may not be online, and then as people log in we assign the player method to them. And then we can also do something quite nice here, which is very simple, which is public boolean is player online string name. Oh no, sorry. It knows where we are in the instance of the player. Return player not equal to null. This way, if player is ever set, which is this, it means that they can only ever be online if that exists, because they get created as they join the server, because the player interface is a server specific object. You can't create them yourself, they're created by the server. So with that in mind, we've now got player logged off. Keep it very simple. Create method. Oh. My bad. Change method. Player. GM. So we're checking that. Set player. No. I think. Yes. Yeah. Simple as that. Okay. So when they log in, it finds them and sets the player. The live player, and then when they log off, it removes them. And now we just need to register the player listener, and there's a method up here that's complaining as okie doke. So how did we do that before? Somewhere in here, go on enable plugin manager, register events, very straightforward. Okay, guilds on enable. Where's list find? Playlist, no. It's probably because it's pulled that in for some reason. Guilds, playlist, guilds, cool. So we've added the listener, we've registered the listener. Ooh, interesting. I wonder if there's a different way of doing this. Ah. I think that's it. Yeah, seems to be happy. Okay, yeah, you implement listener, you don't yeah, do other things. Because the code here is very straightforward. I'll be able to copy and paste it from the other previous application and just explain it. What's gone wrong here? Oh yeah, because I've simplified it. Nice bit of polymorphism. Yeah, okay, straightforward. So I'll just close others, close this, and we'll go back to square one here. So we're working on Guildland, which is working. So we can, if I get rid of this, do that. We're gonna stop the server. Cool, I actually put it all back to how it was. Good proof of concept. Okay, and then we just want one called test with me with one bit of land. And now we just need to see whether it reloads me properly. So we need to put some more info statements in, just because otherwise there's no way we're gonna have a good proof of concept here. That's gonna be pretty trivial. It's gonna be get. Ooh. Does this not have access to the plugin? Oh no, it doesn't. Interesting. What the hell does? I could have sworn. Oh, it's the commands that do. Yeah, right, fair enough. So what we're gonna do next is let's do something straightforward first because we need to. So if I go to my create guild command, it's just p.send message, right? I don't know why I'm bothering to copy and paste that. Okay, so we're gonna get the plugin dot. location to string c dot get 0 0 0 get location. So this will do claimed chunk and then the lat long of the chunk that you've just claimed, or at least the 0 0 0 of it. This will do tell them they're not in a guild. Chunk is already owned, and as simple as that. So you've got the success, the first if statement, and then the second if statement. And then we need to do the same premise in here. Right, so p.send message claimed yeah, same premise here. Oh, come on. I'll probably make some standard message text thing, but for this sort of stuff at some point. But I can just Java find and replace all of this kind of stuff later on. So that's covering that one. Then we need one here. So, doesn't own land or you'd have 0 land owned, something like that. That's that. Go create. That's all we really care about at the moment. So we can close this. That. Don't need this anymore. And yeah, so this populate guilds thing doesn't seem to give me fill me with hope. Let's just put in some generic debug info statements. Because it's not got this far before. And this is kind of important. So this could not be working. So this is contains instead, I think, is what we want, yeah. Something like that. I mean, we are, what's a configuration selection? And the keys. I have to assume this is how I do it because I've done it in the past, so I mean, it could also have changed since, but pretty sure when I do it in here, that's what I'm doing. Configuration, get config, get keys. Yeah, it's get configuration, selection players. Yeah, get the keys. Yeah. Dunno, should work. Unless the config's div wrong. Let me. Oh, go away. Ah. That's not right. Okay, we can close these now. Don't really care. Is it not saving it as? Okay, first it's guilds. And not guild. That would be a pretty significant problem. Guilds. Okay, it looks a bit more consistent this time. And when we're saving it to the config, it's guilds, guild name, guilds dot guild name dot players. Yeah. Okay. I'll restart this again just to make sure it all flows through properly again. I'll have to re-export this. Oh, come on, maybe install. We're a bit more consistent now. I mean, it makes sense for it to be called guilds because it's a list of guilds, so you know. Server plugins, replace, done almost immediately, and run the server. Awesome. Right, back on here. Oh, wow. There we go. Right, so let's create guild test. Guild test has been created. Reload this. Guilds test land world players. Cool. Okay, that was pretty clean. So if I do claim land, chunk is already owned. Chunk claimed. Wonderful. And guild either doesn't own the land or you would have 0 lands. There we go, unclaimed that. Right, this is what I was thinking might happen. So I just need to tweak the code for unclaim because I just had a thought. So what we need to do here is very different. I think, because if it is the first one, which would be in this instance, we would want it to be plus @c. I'll tidy it up manually in the file. So this, because if it's not this, where it's in the middle somewhere past the first bit, it's going to be at the start with an @c next to it, and we're not allowed the @c symbol there. So let's just tidy this up. Everything else seems to be consistent still. Claim land, unclaimed land. Just do a couple somewhat randomly. Okay, yeah, it works consistently. So that's nice. And now the real trick is stopping the server. And starting it again. See if it actually loads the existing guilds. Now we need to look at this. I could really do another monitor, but I've got too many really. Well, not enough space. I've got a lot of Lego and stuff everywhere, but you know. I'll just wait for it to finish doing its thing before looking back up. Ah, see, there you go. Guild contains. It found the guild. What was that second one? Guild contains. Oh, I did guild.toString for some godforsaken reason. There we go. That would sort that out. Then we'll get the guild name, get the members. Probably an idea to do that as well. Guild name. This is just so we can see it all loading it successfully or unsuccessfully in the log. I need the space after this. I did this so much. Land. Perfect. So we're getting the players, getting the land, the name, and that's kind of it really for the most part. Now that we can claim and unclaim land successfully, and this should say, did I make it say player logged in? Probably not. Nah, I didn't. But now we should be able to do unclaimed land. You aren't in a guild, okay. So it hasn't worked when I log in yet. So I'll need to fix that as well, because that's kind of probably the single most important aspect of this. I don't know why I stopped the entire game again. Okay, so the whole chunks thing works. You can claim and unclaim them pretty freely. Saves it all to the config properly. Config saves properly after closing the server, so yeah. Okay, so the player logging in and out didn't work, which implies that the config didn't load the players here correctly. this is another issue. Okay, so what we're looking at is this. So we're getting, I hide that. Can I? Oh, come on. Go back. Nope, wrong thing. This thing. Okay, I can close outline because I never use it anyway. I don't even use the console. So if I put this here, close. So yeah, we're currently looking at the guild name dot players. So we've got guilds dot test dot players, and we're getting the keys, which is this. So this string actually isn't the player name, it's the player UUID. And then this is going to actually be get config dot get string this dot plus play UUID, and this is going to be the player name. Okay, so yeah, so now we get the guild name, players, and then this, and then we get the value at that, which would be 11, and then we add it to the guild. So hopefully that's fixed that side of things. That's probably the only issue with logging in. So I'll just do a quick build. Show it back on the server, and hopefully it won't say I'm not in the guild even. Plugins, override that. Server. Pardon me, Jesus. I've run out of tea. It has been 2 hours or something, so I'm not surprised. This should look a bit cleaner as well. Interesting. Oh, that's why. Okay, so it could still be working. It's just I put the wrong text in there. That's my bad. Okie doke. Oh, I've got to fire Minecraft again. I need to be able to organize these. I'd love to have like a splitter and have some of them on like the right hand side, like all my Twitch stuff. I might look into that at some point, because that would be so cool. Solve so many problems. Sorry, I'm trying to lightly adjust this. Oh, fuck it, that will do. Alright, I'll fire that back up. Come on, you can do it. Nice. Give it some full screen. Okay. I'm not in a guild, so it hasn't worked. because I put the wrong message in the output, I don't even know what went wrong, so that's fun. So we're going to rebuild this again and run the server again. Bugging me. It's a world of fun. I don't envy people who make stuff on with Forge and actually add in like their own animations and shit. So if problems start occurring with that sort of thing, that's going to be really difficult to fix. You have to restart the server several times and then spawn in the creature and then see what it does and see if it does it right, and yeah. But that was something I'm heading towards anyway, because I would like to add my own mod that has its own concepts and stuff in that are completely unique to itself, just for the fun of it. I was thinking of doing like a clockwork mod where you can make power generators and stuff, but you have to go and like manually hand crank them back up to generate power for a while, and make something the equivalent of a golem that automatically fights things, but it's got a massive cog on the back, and when it gets disabled, you have to go and wind it back up. You know, it'd just be quite fun to make like a standard power system for that kind of setup. This is weird. This one's further along than this, but it worked. So there I am. Okay, let's see what this does. If it doesn't contain it, it adds it, which it should. Should be fine. Okay. So what else could be the problem? So the error's coming up, not an error, but a "you don't belong in the guild" thing's not working. So the player listener could be wrong. Right. So we're getting the event. So we're doing that event handler. Event handler. Again. This is an interesting song to do a remix of. Not a bad one though. Or is it the original? Nah, yeah, it's a remix. I mean, why wouldn't it be? I mean, the EDM soundtrack library, playlist, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so let's have a look at mine. My one. Contains member. Yeah, so that seems reasonable. So we're playing logged in, get the player guild, player name. If I go back down here, we get player.getName, which should be the same as it goes in. We're doing equals. We're getting the guild member, and we're setting the player to player. So it's when I'm doing claim land. So we're doing player guild get sender.getName. That could be the problem. keep it consistent. This is the only place it can go wrong now. Okay, as much as I appreciate the remix, the song's a bit obnoxious. So it could have just been that. Probably unlikely. I would imagine it's, but I don't know. Oh, I think I'm gonna sneeze. Nope. Okay. Right. So now we just run it again. Basically, I can't see any problems. So, oh. There we go. So we export this again. Wunderbar. Back to target. Yes. Plugins. This. Replace. Back. Run server. Okay. I didn't see it change, but okay. Probably going to be doing this all day, hopefully, because this is what I've been waiting most of the week to finish off. I was busy on Wednesday and Thursday and yesterday, but hopefully I can get all this up and running. So it found guild name test Belvin with the right stuff. Yeah, cool. Minecraft, joining world. So it's hopefully not going to complain that we're not in a guild, which is the main thing. Ah, fuck's sake. Alright. Looks like we're doing a shit ton of loggers then. Let me stop the server because there's no point. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay, so we've got to start from here. Plugin dot get logger dot info events dot get player dot get name. So now we can guarantee that they're logging in. Then we go into player logged in. Okay, now I don't know why I bother doing logger dot info pg dot guild name. Player in guild, get guild name. Else player not in guild. Okay, and then player logged into here, and then we're doing player dot send message new sign to guild get guild name. Okay, simple as this. We've now got debugging at every single stage, and we can trace it all the way along. So see what point it doesn't find it. Probably the get player and guild for some godforsaken reason, even though it's really straightforward. Alright. Right, here's the test. Player not in guild, straight off the bat. Okay, that's very interesting. So that means it didn't even get to you were assigned to guild blah, it just basically went get player guild and couldn't find it. So let's find out. Ah, there's the problem. You shouldn't do equals equals on strings ever. It's always dot equals, because you're comparing the if you do equals equals, it compares the instance of an object and sees where it's equal to the same instance of the other object. But dot equals for strings compares the textual values, the ASCII characters, against each other, and that's probably the entire problem. I often do a search in my code for equals equals. I even once found an application that checked for it specifically in strings, because it's such a problematic issue. Because strings are technically an object, but their value of their object doesn't, one string instance doesn't equal the same as another string instance. Let's say it's one of these rookie mistake kind of things that I tend to slip by every so often. Because you know I'm not perfect at all this. I mean, I kind of am for the most part, but yeah. But this is all proof that it's very easy to make simple mistakes. Doesn't matter how simple or convoluted your code is, it's very easy to forget simple things. Players in guild test, Belvin. Chunk is already owned. Claimed chunk. And then we come into here. We reload. And we've got that chunk. And then we go slash unclaimed land. Unclaimed that. Your guild either doesn't own or would have 0 land. Unclaimed that. I think there's one over here. Absolutely fantastic. I've just done a lot of claims and unclaims, but we should be left with 1 or 2. 1, there you go, wonderful. So we're good to go. So we loaded in from the it reassigned us back to the guild when we logged in. So now we have a really clean transition from you create a guild, it assigns a guild name, its world, the players in it, claims the chunk that you're on, and then saves it to the config, and then it can then it reloads it from the config, and as players join and leave the server, it reassigns them back to their guilds, and then job done. Pretty nice. Oh look, there's a skeleton spider. Wonderful. So now we also have a working event listener, and we know that chunks are claimable. We can now do some fancy things by stopping the players from interacting with chunks that they don't have access to. And the only way to test this is to basically stop the server, obviously write the code that stops you from doing that, but you create a guild, claim some chunks, just kind of in a large space, just to guarantee. You build some, like, you put some doors and levers and all that kind of stuff down, and then you you log out, close the server, change the config, the player line in the config, to just mess it up slightly, change the UUID, you change the UUID and the player name, and then when I next log in, I won't be the owner of the guild, and I shouldn't be able to, regardless of admin permissions, be able to interact or destroy blocks in that area. That's the whole plan. That's like the crux of this plugin, basically. So I'm gonna go and get a cup of tea, and I'll in a second. Alright, I am back. Oh, I have tea. The all-important tea. Okay, so the only thing we need to do now is in the player listener for all that to work. So we pop into here and literally steal the code from here. The interaction one's gonna be a little tricky. However, should be okay. So, I'm gonna comment this one out. It's probably useful for later on. Plugin dot. Okay, so we want a method that checks whether a guild owns a chunk or not, which what it does is if, loop through all the guilds, I pressed home, thank you very much. Owns chunk C. Okay, very straightforward. Check whether anyone owns this chunk, because we don't care otherwise. And then we check is player in guild, because I know we don't have something like that. We've got get player guild, but we don't have just a straight up boolean. Return player guild p get name not equal to null. Simple as that. So this is on block break event. So if they're not in, so the chunk's owned by a guild, and either they're not in a guild or get player guild dot get name not equal to plugin dot I think that's a reasonable thing to use. And then we want to iterate over all of the guilds to find out if they do, and then we return G for guild, otherwise we return null. So this will loop through all of the guilds, check which one of them owns the chunk, and send it back. So now in the player listener we have on block break, we get the we're basically checking if they're not allowed to break the block. So if a guild owns the chunk, then there's potential for us to deny them permission to break it. If they're not in a guild at all, then and a guild does own there, and a guild also owns it, then obviously they're not going to be allowed to break it because they won't have permission. Or if they're in a guild but it's not the same guild as the one that the chunk belongs to, and then it just says you can't break blocks that your team doesn't own. And then we want the exact same premise on placing blocks. It's literally a copy and paste. Oops. In a that you're, this is going to be guild. It's exactly the same premise because their place and block break are the same concept, so that's fine. And then the interaction is going to be a little more problematic, but we can test this now. So the server's stopped. Right, so let's put Belvin 123 and change that 9 to an 8. Okay, so we no longer own that land. Oh, actually, is it easier to... Yeah, okay, let's custom change this. Oh no, I can't because I'd need to work out. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything that complicated. Right, I should have logged off at least near where this chunk is, and we can tell when I get to the chunk because I'll just keep breaking blocks somewhat randomly until it tells me I can't. It's good proof of concept if nothing else. So we've got some errors. There we go, sort out the imports, just had some leftover stuff. Install, and then we'll work on the interactables and stuff. That's a whole nother world, and I'm hoping they've made a better solution than what I had to come up with, but I'll explain that later. So we want to steal this, go back into the server. Once this section works, even just the block break in place, it's pretty much done. I just need to make sure the add and remove member commands work properly, which will be relatively straightforward, possibly. No, I'd need somebody else online. I'd have to run it on my actual server to test it, because it was dependent on players being physically online. But we'll get there. Right. Close. Blah blah blah. Yeah, see, now it's loaded the new player, which isn't me. We can also make it easier on ourselves by adding in the message and stuff. So if I was reasonably close to it. Okay, so teleport. We're gonna just teleport straight to this block. 208, probably 100 minus 302. Is that right? Minus 320. Hey, and look at that. Straight off the bat, you can't break blocks that your guild doesn't own, and it completely stops me from doing it. And then if I get this, you can't place blocks in an area that your guild doesn't own. So I can map out the perimeter of the chunk just by holding right click. So it's probably up there. Should be there we go. It's approximately this. So it's like that. There we go. So I can't do anything in here. Absolutely fantastic. And so I can break all of the can't put on there. Yeah, got the corner. Awesome. So I can use this to test other things as well, of course. So I might as well leave this in the sort of server so I don't have to faff around with it anymore. Don't even know what this stuff is. Oh, whoops, I haven't played the game for a while, so no idea. That was a kill-all function at one point in time. Okay, so we've got the outline of an area that we technically don't own, and in theory, create guild test 2. Guild test 2 has been created, so we can break this stuff still, and we still can't do this. Perfect. And now I can make the message as you enter and leave areas to check whether or not you when you've entered land, basically. But that's slightly complicated as well. You have to put in a map and keep track of where players started and left to stop it from spamming them with messages. But it's pretty good. We probably ought to I don't know. Anyway, so it works. So we've got the more significant aspect of it working. There's also player damage event as well. So this is my disable PvP against your own teammates code. So we want to get player in teamland. So this is so what we're trying to do here is make it so if you're inside your own land, hang on, you can't. Oh wait, I've taken the wrong code. Oh, it's this one. Don't know why I didn't have the event handler thing, but that's kind of pertinent. Let's get rid of this. Player in the same team. So we've got two players, damage player and damager player, and then we go return get player guild damage player dot get name, and then we do equals equals damage and damager player. There we go. Simple as that. And then in here, okay, so I've got friendly fire as a concept. That's if friendly fire is not enabled. If not, plugin to get team. Wait, Yeah, we just set the we'll ignore that for now. Sorry. Right, that was just a friendly fire thing, otherwise it does half damage sort of stuff. I'm going to change team to guild here as well. Oh, I'm going a little slow because this is obviously actually working quite quickly now because there's a lot of copy and paste stuff that I know just works. So okay. Else. So what I want to do here is if the damaged player is in their team land, so guild land. So what we do here is it will be either land equals false. So we just want to check if we want guild G equals get player guild damage player dot get name if G not equal to null and G dot owns chunk damage player dot get location dot get chunk. Yikes, I can't even spell true. Yeah, so it's straightforward as that now. So if they're not in a guild, if they're in a guild and the guild owns the chunk that they were damaged on, return true. Simple as that. I'm just gonna, oh come on. That's gonna be fair. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay, there we go. Right, player is in guild. Get the player name, get owns chunk, return that. Oh, sorry, it's. Oh, what am I doing? I don't know why I've done a. Sorry, right. So close. Right, let me go back here and then do that because that's probably, yeah, that's all the problems gone. If they're in guild land, then we also do this. Because that's stopping them from being you damaging your teammates regardless, and this is stopping you from being damaged on your own turf. Oh, there we go. yeah, so if you're in the same guild regardless, you can't damage each other, or if you're in your own land and somebody attacks you that isn't in your guild, so they wouldn't be in your guild if that wasn't the case, and you're on your own land, they can't damage you. It's a nice little rule. You can't break or place blocks on people's land. I'm gonna do a really simple one for the interact, because I used to have a list of interactables, right? So instead of this, Bukkit interaction, chest, we're just going to disable it on chests. Guild owns chunk, and then if not, is player in a guild, plugin.get guild, player guild, p.get name. Okay, so what we're doing here is the same as previous. If you're not in a guild, or you're in a guild but it's not equal to the other person, you can't interact with chests. And spelled doesn't correctly. Yeah, I've spelled it wrong everywhere. My spelling deteriorated over a while of doing programming, so it's pretty reasonable. Let's be consistent. And then yeah, so I now can't interact with chests inside the other players. Can't interact with chests inside the other player's base, basically. Which is probably the more important one. So I need to look into the add and remove member commands now. Get server, play, to add members. So we're not currently doing anything with the config for this. Pardon me. Okay, so we want to do plugin dot add guild member GM. Okay, right, I'm going to do some fancy things here. So all we want to do, let's, I can't remember what the commands are. I think it's crap, what is it? I'm looking to collapse everything. Okay, it's not sourcing, is it? It's going to be maybe it is. Oof. Christ, how do you do this? There's a shortcut for collapsing all of these. Anyway, this is kind of what I want. Right, so we can collapse that down. Collapse that. actually, this is a good point. I probably ought to put this on GitHub. Before I lose it all. So that wouldn't be very fun, would it? Let me just do that real quick. It's time. Oh, I don't really care, right? And create new repository. Guild. Oh, fuck's sake. Guilds path. Not stone half mods. Been a while since I've done stone half mods. Jesus. Yeah, that one. Whatever. Create repository. And then it should add the .git for me in the folder. I commandeered it, take these away, go into guilds and shove it straight into there, and then you do locate. I delete this, and I go into guilds, and it finds it all, and I'll just do first commit and shove it up to the server. And we're done. And just to double check, to here, dev repos. I think I need to come on. That's unfortunate. Oh, I need to sign in. For some reason I'm not signed in. There it is. It should have all the code and stuff sorted. Wonderful. Pretty straightforward to do all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, there we go. Now I can update it on GitHub every now and then. I'll close that for now. Stop the server. So we've made it so you can't damage people, and we're doing the add and remove guild member stuff. Right. So we've got this add guild member functionality, and we need to hide all of this nonsense. Oh. My bad. Probably helps if we know what guild it's being added to. Duh. And then we get this. We do guilds. Make that G. Dot players. Get their unique ID. Do this. It's really straightforward. And then save the config. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so get the the guild name, do .players, get the unique ID, and then we set the path for that and save it. Perfect. And then we do the same for remove. Which we haven't implemented at all. Okay. So we copy add because it's going to be almost exactly the same principle. Oh, oops. Getting a name, getting the plugin. Why are we doing this in the add command then? I didn't understand that. This literally just needs to be dead code. I mean, I guess it would have to be, wouldn't it? No, that's not true. This can be null. I don't understand this. It won't be unused because this could be null. Ah, no, wait, I know what I'm doing, sorry. Because you could add other people. My bad, right, that's important. Okay, yeah, this is important, okay. But in this case, they don't necessarily have to be online. So what we want here is if player not equal to null, I don't know why we need to get the player tool, actually we don't. And then we search for the guild members, and we go player name, we want to break, we want guild member GM found equals null. And then we're gonna do GM found equals GM because we want to search through until we find the guild member. Oh, hang on.
No, that was fine. I want to get my phone.
Someone at the door.
Yeah, cool.
Right, now we need to check if the GM found isn't null. And then we go guild members dot remove GM found. Perfect. So that's just the standard, removing it from the array, checking if it exists, and then removing it. But we need in here an extra one of those. And we need to do the same premise here and remove the guild member. But we need to do a check here, so blah 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 except length. So we want to do if guild dot contains member player name. We don't go about that. Let's put that at the bottom here. Okay, right, we're a bit better off here. So we're let's tidy this up. Perfect. So we're checking whether the guild contains that player at all. Then we're doing a plugin dot remove guild member, which will do the same premise as this. But instead of doing that, it will do null. Now we have a bit of an issue here, perhaps, because our players are stored as a UUID, and if they're not online, we can't find them to remove them. How do we do this? This is an interesting concept. So because really I should have stored players in the same way as the chunks and done at p name, at p name 2, etc. I wouldn't have had this current problem. However, should be alright, because you can always manually remove them. You just literally just delete that line there and job done. So you know, admin shouldn't have too much of an issue. And if they are online, this will work. So but we do have the issue of them potentially not being online. So we want to do if gm.get player not equal to null. Let's do a logger thing here. Info player plus gm.get player ID. Get guild name. There we go. Nice informative text, and we can do the same here. Player I'm pretty sure we're checking if the players I need a better way of doing this. this will only ever work if they're actually an online player. Yeah, let's get rid of this server searching crap. Not server searching crap, but yeah, so if they're not equal to null, do this, then we get the guild member, we add it to the config, add it to the guild, else p.s player sender dot send, and then send message player not online. Keep it simple like that. We want the same premise for the remove. Okay, okay, I don't understand what's happened here. Okay, so we need to check whether the player's online here as well. Otherwise this ain't gonna work at all. Player not in guild or online. Simple as that. So they're either not in the guild or they're not online. So you can't remove players that are offline. Which then, when we go into the guilds code here, we check if the player's there, player removed from the guild, player was added to the guild. Same, exactly the same concept, but we just need to know so that's setting it to name, that's setting it to null. Okay, this should work-ish. I think. Okay, so we've got admin remove member. Just make sure it's the wrong plugin. Let's add it to here. Add member and remove member. Right. Names down for the guild. Adds a new member to the guild. Yeah, something like that. Just tidy this up a bit more. Nice to get as much of this nonsense done as possible. Okay, we should be good. The only way I can test this is if I actually put it on my actual server, so I'll put it on my local one again and just make sure that this all works. Still haven't broken anything else, and then I'll put it on my actual server and see what happens. Plugins. Interesting. Server. There we go. Okay, so we've got a guild called Test, Belm 1, 2, 3, lands in there, and then another guild with Belvin. Cool. Come on, you can connect. It's right there. Yeah, I thought it should have just worked. Yep, still can't do that. It will do that. But I can break that. I think this bit's my land. Okay, and it still works. So I'm going to put this on my actual server, which is this one. Okay, so stop the game. I need to go to my server control panel. Shall do off screen real quick. This music is something else, right? Yeah, go on, go away. Thank you, Jesus. So I need to do exactly the same as I've been doing with this server for this one. So I'm gonna copy that. Then I need to go to here. Give me a sec. I'm gonna stop the server. Here you go to FileZilla. Yeah, I'm aware. Go on to here. Plugins. And then we go to target. Drag it into here. And then we create a directory called guilds. And then I'm just gonna copy across the white config just in case. I'm gonna edit it. Good grief. Okay, whatever, then just do notepad. Delete that, save it, close it, transfer that back up to the server. So the mod should be on there now. Mod should be on there with a blank config.yml. So I start the server. It's apparently already running. I find hard to believe. Web console. Can I see it live? Was it actually 100% started already? Well, oh no, now it's doing it. I'm just looking at the console for my server. So I don't need that. Don't need FileZilla. Don't need my files anymore. Okay, looks like it's done. Let's do it. So I'm gonna go here, create guild. Oh my god, Melvin's guild. Created and claim the chunk. Fantastic. So I'll have to get somebody else to come onto the server to test the add and remove side of things. Oh, actually I need to get some stuff from down here. I might as well just play Minecraft now. Actually play a game for a change. Been programming so long today. There's a non-iron axe, surely. Other than the wooden axe. No, fuck it, wooden axe. Oh, that's what I need. I just curious as to what this world looks like with the shaders and shit. Ah, crap. Okay, I'll just break it with my hand. Sorry, I forgot to world edit. I've done all of my stuff here legitimately. I just wanted to. Always good to have world edit enabled so you can fix shit that gets broken. Let's sleep. Okay, so I want to claim land, chunk already owned, so I'm going to go out of my base, claim land. Okay, so this is another chunk, so the chunk's approximately somewhere around this barrier here. Got me all Sally, which I went out and got. Oh my god, the game looks so gorgeous. So let's just make sure chunk already owned, chunk already owned, chunk already owned. I will put in a command for showing you the outline of your chunks at some point. Oh wow, everything looks so gorgeous with this, jeez. Yeah, okay, so there's another one here, which implies there's another one here, which is the one I already own. So the corner's probably around here and up to there. Which means I probably need to go around here. Yeah, okay. And there's possibly one. I'm just going to get everything that's there. There we go. So I should have full ownership of everything in there. And then I'm going to go. Yeah, this looks significantly better than I thought it would. I'm surprised. Break the ladder, go down, hide myself into here. No, I mean there's not that many people on the server. Nobody knows where this is. So I'm just gonna walk down here and make sure I claim everything in my base here. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go to each corner. Yeah, you're probably going to kill me in a second, but I don't care. Chunk claimed, chunk claimed, chunk claimed. There's probably another one about here. Just to stop people from potentially finding and destroying stuff, which is the entire purpose of this mod. So I should have every part of this. I'm just gonna sneak back into here. I don't have to do this, but I want to do this. Chunk owned. Can't get me from that angle. Yep, perfect. Yeah, wonderful. I've been growing the vines so I can make the mossy cobblestone to make the building. And this is going to be one of the dungeons for my dungeon mod when I start work on that, which, given that I can't do any more, feasibly do any more on my guilds stuff that I've just done without other people, because they all depend on other people being around, I will probably do that almost immediately. And the plan for that is to set the bounds of the dungeon, and then you set up sort of like location based, block based spawn points for enemies. So if you've used world edit, you select a top corner and a bottom corner and say this is the area, and then you'll let me think. And then Jesus, I need to get some lunch in a second. And then so you set up 2 points, say that's the area of the arena. You set up, you say add enemy, and you could add like a skeleton, spider, zombie, whatever, and then when they're added to the game, to the dungeon, you then set what blocks enemies can spawn on, and then when you hit start the dungeon, you scan for all of those blocks that have at least 2 air pockets above them, and then set them as a random spawnable location for enemies, and then you just use commands to add new enemies, set how many waves of enemies come up. Then you can custom make item sets for the enemies, so I'd add like a chest and say set as special enemy, and then they all have like spawn with iron armor and swords or bows or whatever, or enchanted stuff. And then you do the same for like a boss, so you say set boss chest and it's like full diamond armor with a fire sword with power or something, and that kind of stuff. It's really easy to do, and it just requires a lot of config work to make work basically, but it's great. It's one of my larger projects, previous one, but now that I've got the guild stuff working, it's just a more elaborate version of all of this basically. But that will do for now, because it's been 3.5 hours. I need to eat and probably chill out for a couple of hours, and then I'll actually come back and tidy all this stuff up a bit more, probably off stream, and then start work on the dungeon stuff. It needs a lot of raw Java and design work initially, but I've already gone and created the project, sorted it out with a plugin, done the POM, and added at least some base commands that I need to change the nature of, and then implement them basically. And then there'll be a point where you pull a lever and the dungeon forcibly puts you in one of the player spawn locations, and then spawn shit tons of enemies everywhere, and then you fight waves of enemies, and then you can set a reward chest and stuff. But that'll be really easy. That's literally an event. You listen for the interact on a lever, you check through all of the dungeons to see if that lever is connected to them. If it is, force the player into the arena and then spawn all of the enemies, spawn all of the relevant enemies on the squares, and then listen out for entity killed events, and you do some metadata where you apply it to them to say that it's part of a dungeon, and then as they get killed, the amount of enemies gets to 0, it spawns the next wave, and just rinse and repeat. It's pretty good. It's not trivial, but it's pretty straightforward to do from a code perspective. There's just a lot of it. Anyway, I hope some people benefit from this in some way, and this gets me programming at least, and streaming again. I think I want to focus on this more than actually playing games, because everyone in the world can play games, but not many people can do this. So, you know. But I'll see you guys around if anyone's still watching up to this point, which is kind of unlikely. I probably couldn't sit through listening to me programming for that long. But whatever, gave you something